And welcome into the Friday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. Hope everybody's off to a fabulous start of their day today. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We got a lot going on the program today. Preseason football tonight for the Tennessee Titans. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports will join us for his weekly visit, normally on Thursdays at 8. Some shuffling this week, so he will be with us at 7:30 on today's show. Turron Davenport will be with us at 8:15. We'll get his thoughts on everything he's seen from the Titans to this point in the week, so all that coming up. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How we doing?
Oh, it's another beautiful day.
Oh, good.
How are you doing?
God, just do we have any improvement to report, or about the same?
I'd say that last night is some of the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. I want to apologize to all the people who had like gout that was like serious, and then I sort of made fun of it for years. Because now I get it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all of you.
Were you like cursing out Kuharski in your head throughout this whole process, or was there even thought of that at that time?
No, I was like an unbearable jerk last night. So apologize to my family too.
Get a lot of things out there this morning. Just
this is
wife,
exactly.
children, everyone. I apologize. People with gout.
Sorry.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that you're in extreme
I'll think
pain.
of some others.
Like, in all seriousness, we have fun with your gout, but I do not want you to be in pain at all.
No, it can be a mother. So I'm gonna go to back to urgent care yet again, and I'm gonna beg. I guess I'm becoming like a drug seeker. I'm gonna beg for any other. Yeah, maybe horse trank. I take a needle and put it right in that spot. I don't care. So yeah. Fun times.
Yeah, sounds like it's just a great time out there. Ian Safar, how we doing? What's going on?
Doing good, thanks. Happy Friday, everybody. No gout to report here.
That's good.
Been feeling okay for the most part. I did realize
it's not contagious, thankfully.
Well, that's also
that
good.
is also
if it
good.
was a few weeks ago, I'd have got it.
Yeah, I did
I
realize.
looked over, that foot's up in the other chair over here, and be like, well, that'd have been it for me.
Yeah, watch the diet. Watch the But we have a function tonight, this evening. So I will not be watching the Titans game live.
Good for
I
you.
just realized. So this morning I was like, oh, we got that tonight. Oh, the Titans play tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a
I
real
guess
heartbreaker.
I'll be hitting that on the DVR.
Yeah, guess so. Don't get to watch Tim Boyle play, so you're not really missing a whole lot.
That's true.
See what
The
Trevor Siemian can do.
exciting stuff is pretty much in the bag at this point. So we'll see. But hope everybody has a great weekend.
Hope everybody
T-Wiggle, though. T-Wiggle.
Yeah, T-Money Wiggle out there. See what can go down with Trevor Siemian, who I would assume we're going to see a lot of tonight. I kind of hope we see a lot of Brandon Allen tonight. I'd like to see him go out there and, play some decent football. That'd be nice to see. So hopefully we'll see some of that tonight. But, of course, the all eyes are going to be on Cam Ward, and sounds like he might get 2 series, maybe 3. We'll see what happens in the game tonight. But regardless of whether or not Atlanta is playing starters, and I would much prefer Atlanta to play starters, but we'll see if that happens or not. It'd be nice to see the offense and Cam Ward go out there and look like they've got a clue out there tonight.
Yeah, and I'd guess 3. My guess would be it's only if they go 3 and out. It's like, okay, let's try one more time. But he probably wants to see him, play about 10 to 12 plays, something in that range. But again, that's better than nothing. Thought maybe with the 2 joint practices that wouldn't happen. So It's a positive that we get to see a little bit of that, plus the one's offensive line. And I have not heard, and maybe I just missed it, but I haven't heard like Raheem Morris's plan. It'd be cool if he was going to play at least some starters on both sides of the ball to make it a little bit more interesting here. I don't know what his philosophy is, but
because especially sure the quarterbacks aren't going to play.
Yeah,
Cousins and Penix, which not too surprising, but like,
I don't know about
can we see some James Pierce tonight?
Yeah,
some of their top pass rushers to really see if this offensive line is still, playing well. I mean, for right now, I think there's some growing optimism about that. If there's one aspect of this team with some optimism kind of building, I think it's probably that one, but you'd like to get the best look possible.
So it'd be also great tonight if, we walked away from the game and we didn't talk about like Easton Stick looking like Dan Fouts out there. That'd be awesome. Like, don't let Easton Stick go out there and just kill you tonight if you're the Titans. Keep Easton Stick off the board.
Yeah, of course. I think at this point, the Titans threes, which makes sense. Yeah, they're not.
But I mean, they might be saying the starters might be seeing a little bit of Easton Stick.
Is Easton? So is he is getting the start? Is it?
I don't know. I would be surprised if they played Penix, and I would probably be even more surprised if like Kirk Cousins is like, hey man, I'm not going out there playing 2 quarters of the preseason game. Sorry, not happening.
Yeah, I think they said those two aren't playing. So do they have any other QBs?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they got another one, but I think Easton Stick is their third guy.
Yeah, well, there you go then. Okay, so I stand corrected. Yeah, you would like to whoever's playing.
Emory
Jones
we know
Simmons
is number 4.
Yeah, Emory Jones.
Okay,
gonna see a lot of Emory Jones tonight too.
Wow, that's gotta love preseason football. Yeah, no Simmons for sure, no Zeitler.
Yep.
But if there are more defensive starters, especially, you would hope that they could keep Easton Stick contained.
If they get if the starters let Kyle Trask do what he did to them last week, and then followed up with a performance against Easton Stick tonight, it's not very good. That's not good. Not going to feel good about that heading into next Monday's program.
I honestly don't think Kyle Trask is trash. I don't think he's Cal trash.
That's good.
I think he's all right. I think he's decent.
Didn't they take him in the second round?
Was it that high?
I think they did. Let me go back and double check that.
I know early.
Think they did.
God, man. I mean, I remember like his first preseason was really rough.
Yeah, second round, 64th overall.
In 23?
2021.
Oh, 21. Yeah, geez, 21. Yeah, I remember real early it was like, oh, man, Kyle Trask is bad. But like he is a guy he's one of those guys who plays a lot in the preseason. He's gotten better. Now, Easton Stick, I don't think you get that same sort of grace, at least not for me.
No, I would say certainly not. We will get into this later, Joe, in more detail. But real quickly, just one thing you're looking at tonight, not Cam Ward related when it comes to the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, well, I mentioned the offensive line. That's the best, that's the thing that I'm most interested in if they can get a good look. Certainly, though, I think inside linebacker, like is James Williams, is he really getting it? Is Cedric Gray Cedric Gray did lead the team in tackles last game. I still thought James Williams stood out more to me, and he has been ahead of him consistently. But is there anything there? I mean, look, if you're the Titans, you'd love a guy like Cedric Gray to catch fire and come along. And I'm still kind of holding off on the idea that James Williams is going to put it all together. But I really liked what I saw last game from him. So I think inside linebacker, certainly a place to watch.
Yep, certainly a place to watch on that front tonight. We'll see exactly how they deploy running backs. I'm sure Pollard is going to start. How much does he get the ball? And you're not going to have Spears, so you're going to see a lot of Julius Chestnut tonight and a lot of Mullings as well, I would assume. So we'll see kind of exactly what that breakdown looks like for the Titans and their running game. And look, like Chestnut and or Mullings need to get ready to play. Talking about a high ankle sprain for Tajay Spears, and maybe he's back for week 1, but I don't know how effective he's going to be when he's back in week 1. So those guys need to get ready to play some football for the Titans tonight too. So we'll see what happens on that front. Joe, it's been an interesting training camp. We went through some storylines around the league yesterday. Let's check in with our dear friend Mike Vrabel on how things are going up there with the media in New England.
Mike, some comments yesterday about how he's not sure about his readiness for week 1.
Did you really believe that, Phil? I mean, you're a smart guy. I don't know where you went to school. It wasn't Ohio State, but like, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that, Phil? Or are you just trying to bait me into something?
I'm not baiting you into anything. He did say he wasn't sure he'd be ready for week 1. Is there any doubt in your mind?
I don't know the context in which he said it, but you'd have to help me. I mean, he's been out here almost.
I mean, I feel like Vrabel, we got a lot of combative Vrabel really early into camp, right? Like we ain't even made it to week 1 yet. We got a lot of Vrabel sniping back and forth with the New England media.
I mean, he's acting like I acted last night, crying about my gout. Which I love this texter saying the gout pouch should replace the Rexrode.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah, talk about a cranky old man, huh? Did Vrabel just turn 50?
He did.
Oh, he did. He
Yeah.
just turned 50 like yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's what it is.
I think he dove in between another fight yesterday too. So that's what
did
he
he?
does. Yeah.
He's having a midlife crisis. I saw that someone asked him like what kind of cake, and he said that carrot cake is the only thing he would eat. That's a very strong choice. Very strong choice. But if there was like a huge, like the greatest carrot cake in the world on one side, and then on the other side there's like some huge dudes fighting, which one would Vrabel dive into?
It's a good question. It's a good question. I think I'd probably vote the fight. Like he wants to get in there.
Like explain that. Like explain that to me. It's like the guy Stephon Diggs said what he said to that guy. The guy, okay, then brings it to Vrabel and asks him about it. Oh, you believe that? What? What am I supposed to? Am I supposed to be walking around with a lie detector now?
I don't know. You're not there to ask him. At least he didn't ask the guy what he's doing with his hands. I don't know. Lot of
just weird.
Lot of back and forth between Vrabel and the New England media. And he made it to week 1 yet. I
think he's trying to like preemptively be such a jerk to them that he never has to deal with this whole idea of like, oh, the Boston press corps so tough.
Yeah. Maybe so.
They don't seem that tough.
Maybe so. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, an idea that could be on the horizon in the world of sports that Rexrode thinks is really dumb. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Joe, we discussed a couple of weeks ago the acquisition of NFL Red Zone, among other NFL properties, by ESPN, and what that means for ESPN, their programming, all those things moving forward here. They bought the Red Zone name, so it doesn't have to be just the NFL, which has created the idea that what if ESPN tried to create a college football Red Zone type of show? And actually, Roger Goodell spoke about that on SportsCenter and said that basically, ESPN's got the Red Zone name. They can do whatever they want to do with it. Doesn't have to be just the NFL now, which has got people wondering if college football is going to be in their plans there. I think that sounds a little extreme. I think that would be much harder to pull off in college football than it would be the NFL. But, Joe, what do you make of that idea? And does it sound as dumb to you as on paper it kind of does to me?
Yeah, it's always sounded dumb. I think it basically died yesterday because Fox, I think it was front office sports report, this Fox is not going to participate. And you knew,
Nor should
maybe, yeah, right. Like, so you knew somebody was going to, because you have NBC they've expanded what they're doing with the Big Ten and with Peacock, obviously Fox, Big Ten, and then you got, of course, CBS, and then the ESPN, the four major ones. Man, there's other carriers too. I mean, as WB does, right? What is it? WB? Is WB still around?
I don't think it's been WB in a long time.
CW, not WB. CW. Sorry. Yeah, I knew
I did get flashbacks to
two letters.
Batman, though. Good stuff there.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah. So first of all, so it's not going to happen, or I hope this kills the idea, but like it just wouldn't work anyway. It doesn't make sense. First of all, why do people watch the Red Zone? I watch Red Zone if I don't have a particular game that I'm really into. I watch Red Zone because of fantasy football.
Yeah,
because I figured that they're pretty good. So it's actually amazing sometimes at how it's like, oh man, my guy's in the Red Zone. Oh, here we go. Red Zone's going to Bears Vikings. And that, so to me, that's perfect with fantasy football. It's, of course, it's two TV partners, allowing all their stuff to be used. It's a small catalog of games, and that's that. It makes sense. Now, I know some people who play fantasy football and college football, they're sickos, but it's not obviously nearly as widespread. I don't know many people. And there's just so many games. It's all over the place. Now you're not going to get to. I guess I understand why someone would throw it out there like, "Hey, how about a college Red Zone?" But like, I figured that should have been dead on arrival about 5 minutes after thinking about it, and we're still talking about it.
Well, here's the other thing. Like in the NFL, like you've got some options. Like let's say you're somebody like me, like you're a Packers fan. Now, luckily, like the Packers play a lot of games on national TV, so you can watch it. But if not, like you can go play for Sunday Ticket and do all those things. But if you don't want to do that and you don't want to pay all that money for Sunday Ticket, you can get Red Zone and you're not watching the whole game, but you're probably going to end up seeing most of the big plays in the game that way. Well, in college football, I mean, unless it's just a game that is just really, really low on the totem pole, you can find it on TV, right? Like it's like you can find all those games. Like if you want to watch, like if you're not a Tennessee fan and you live around here and you want to watch Arkansas play, the likelihood is you can find that on TV. So to me, that's the other part of this is there's so many we've talked about this before, but I've got YouTube TV, and YouTube TV for college football is awesome because like I can watch 4 games at the same time if I want to. And if I don't want to, you generally will not be able to find a game that's out there that's of any sort of interest to me whatsoever that I can't find on my YouTube TV package. So that's the other part of this is like part of the appeal to Red Zone in the NFL is like there's, they black things out like regionally. And like I can't watch most times the Arizona Cardinals broadcast here in Nashville. So, and if I'm not playing for NFL Sunday Ticket, Red Zone's probably where I'm going to find it. And that just doesn't seem to happen as much in college football. There's so many different channels broadcasting all these games.
Yeah. So some of the no, that's a good point. That's another big difference. It's just people. I mean, in college football, it's also just like, I mean, the windows. Remember with the NFL. I mean, I guess this wouldn't necessarily be a huge problem, but the NFL windows are very clear, and they're like, it's amazing how like they are. I mean, it's like you set your watch to it. It's going to hit that 3 hours. Here's this window. Here's this window. Yeah, they start the second game. Some of them like right at 3. Some of them at 3:05. Some at 3:25. But it makes sense. The college games are just complete, all over the map all day long. And it's just I don't think it would work. I don't think it would move the needle. And it's not. Of course, there's gambling in the college realm too. Of course there is. But again, the fantasy bet and sort of just like the orderly scheduling of it all makes Red Zone perfect for the NFL. And not to mention just the wackiness of the college game too. But maybe we should just do a channel with like, oh my God, look at this weird play from San Diego State UNLV. Look what the punter did. Holy cow, what is he thinking? Maybe we should do that channel.
Well, and again, like the limited number of games in the NFL. I mean, you're talking about 32 teams. We know that there's going to be a Sunday night game every week. There's going to be a Monday night game, at least one every week. You've got your national broadcast games on CBS and Fox that are available to the majority of the country. So when you knock all those out, Joe, there ain't that many games that are left, right? Like, you got a few to pick from for Red Zone. College football, there's just more volume. So when there's more volume, like, again, there's so many channels that play all these games. And I do think, one thing we've talked about in college football, and I think it's gotten a little bit better over the last couple of years, but like how long some of these games are. The NFL, you could pretty much know that if they start a game at noon, by about 3:05, 3:10, that thing's going to be over, right? And that's
right.
Unless it's gone to, the edge of overtime, that thing's going to be over. College football, I have no idea. Like when a game starts, it's gotten a little better the last couple of years, but I have no clue that a game that starts at 2:30, it could end at 5:45, it could end at 6, it could end at 7. I have no idea when that thing's going to end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's gotten a little better, but the 3-hour 40 game is still absolutely a thing. John from Nashville says too many games, too many touchdowns. It would have to be limited to Power 4 to make any sense, but TV deals wouldn't make that work.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, honestly, as annoying as it is, and as annoying as to me, the Big Ten is just about on everything now, because I can't get over their stupid playoff plan. I'm actually kind of glad the Big Ten's like, no, you're not getting the Fox stuff. Sorry. So we can just kill this idea and just let Red Zone be an NFL thing. Some things are just meant for the pros, and let college football and all its wackiness just live in its own universe.
Would you like to take this time to congratulate Tony Petitti? Did he have anything to do with this?
For turning them down?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
sure.
just feel like we've never said anything positive about him, so maybe now's the chance.
Well, so today for The Athletic, I wrote the 25 most interesting people in college football, and Sankey made my list. I compared him to Darth Vader, but I said that Petitti is trying to turn this into Spaceballs. So there you go.
Nice.
How about that for a fun joke for you?
Tony,
he's Rick.
Your
he's
Lord
Rick
Helmet
Moranis in this. Yeah, exactly. Lord Helmet. Yeah, my shorts is bigger than yours. That's Tony Petitti.
God, what a great movie.
Get out of here.
615-737.
They're actually doing a sequel, right? Did I hear that they're
I
actually
think
doing
I heard that,
sequel?
and I don't know that I'm excited about that, but I'll check it out. Yeah.
I know. I mean, I'll go, but I agree. Sometimes sometimes you just leave perfection alone.
Yeah, sometimes it's better just to, just enjoy the original. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, a disturbing story that Rexrode came across and pointed me to earlier this week that has real-life ramifications for everybody. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up at 6:45. A little bit early today. We got Charles Robinson from 7:30 to 8 from Yahoo Sports. We'll get into all things NFL with him. We got TD today at 8:15, looking ahead to the Titans and the Falcons coming up in the preseason game tonight. So we'll have TD for you a little bit later in the program at 8:15. Taking your thoughts in the meantime, 615-737-1025. So, Joe, I got to be honest with you. I was not aware of the story we're about to talk about until you pointed it out to me earlier this week. It's from Dan Wetzel, and it's on ESPN.com. So why don't you set up exactly kind of the quick synopsis background of the story and the work that Wetzel did on this to uncover this and how it has real life kind of ramifications for everybody, that especially if you've got kids that are playing sports and kids that are growing up in today's culture.
Yeah, it's a really heartbreaking story. It's a really important story. I think it's a really important story in particular for anybody listening who is a high school athlete or is a parent of a high school athlete. That's where this is targeted, because kids who are trying to get recruited, you've heard this, right? I've said this to my kids: don't put stupid crap on social media. Whatever you put on social media, whatever you put on the internet that can be used against you. These college, these like college recruiters and stuff, they go through kids' social media stuff, and so be smart about that. So there's this, it's almost like, really you could take it to like society, it's like on Facebook, every family's like, hey, we're smiling and happy all the time.
Yeah.
I should have taken some pictures of me last night. But it's all like, hey, everything's fantastic out here, So, but it's like, if you're a high school athlete, of course, you want to have a good image on social media, and you want to, you are a good kid, but you want to make sure you look like a good kid. There's a lot of pressure in that way, and there's a lot of dumb stuff that happens, obviously, and with phones and with Snapchat and all this stuff. So Dan Wetzel, friend of the show, did this story. I think it published, about 5 days ago.
Yep.
I really, if anybody, I would really advise anybody to read that. We can't, do justice to the whole story in one segment on the radio, but the title is "The Predatory Web of Sextortion Increasingly Ensnares Young Athletes." It's built around this, just a heartbreaking story of this kid, Jordan DeMay, in Marquette, Michigan, who gets, it's like, it's Instagram, and gets a DM from someone who, like, a picture of a pretty woman, says she's 19-year-old from Atlanta, and they start texting back and forth. He has a girlfriend. They start texting back and forth. Long story short, they exchange pictures, right? And then immediately this turns into pay me like $1,000, or the picture you sent me is going to your girlfriend. Because again, this is like targeting someone.
Yeah.
And you can find out their contacts, and you can find, so it gets to the point where this kid didn't have the money. And again, long story short, and it's told, the story is told really well here. It's again heartbreaking. Jordan killed himself, and the shocking thing is, you go through the story, there are a lot of examples of this, and it turns out these are like a couple guys from Lagos, Nigeria, who did this scam, and others. Some of them have actually been extradited, to be held accountable. But it's all over the place, these attempts to extort kids with stuff like this, trap them into something, and then extort money from them. And there's a lot of instances in this story of suicides resulting from this, which is, again, that's another issue. It's like, man, it's $1,000. It's, it's a silly picture. But the bottom line is, this is happening. They're getting targeted. And so everybody needs to be aware of this stuff. The awareness of this story, I just feel like it's an obligation to share this as widely as possible, because, as parents, let's be honest. I know you guys have younger kids. We should have done way better with some of our limitations on things. but like you just can't control everything
Yep.
that they're talking about and the conversations and the different apps. I mean, it's just at some point, like they are kind of adults in that world, and they need to know about this, and parents need to know about this and be as prepared as possible to deal with this and head this off before something like this happens to you.
Yeah, like I was reading through this, and I guess I had never heard or seen how prevalent that this was, and how much that young kids and young athletes can be targeted in things like these. And again, like you said, I mean, there's no way that in a 15-minute radio segment we could do this entire story justice. It's on ESPN.com. Dan Wetzel wrote it. Again, it's a semi-lengthy read. You have to devote a few minutes to it, but it's worth the read. Like you said, it's an incredibly sad story. And, it's a lot included of the parents in here of how they had, no idea what was going on. And in basically one night, their life changed so dramatically because of one instance here. And it's, like you said, it's heartbreaking to read. Like, as a parent, you start thinking about these things and it's just awful. So, something to be really aware of out there, of just making sure that you're aware of the different dangers that social media can present, and being aware of this and educating your kids about it. And, obviously in a way that you as the parent have to choose how you want to handle that, but just educating the kids about it so they don't fall victim to some of these things. Because like you said, it's so hard in today's culture to control everything, right? Like there's, yeah, you can have limitations on the phone of what the kids can do. And yeah, you could say, hey, you're not in the Facebook count till you're 16 years old or whatever it is. But like at some point, like they're kids, they're on the phone, and they're realities and dangers that exist. And I had no clue, I guess, Joe, how prevalent this was until reading this story by Wetzel.
No, I didn't either. I mean, it makes sense, like, targeting athletes, things like that. But no, I didn't either. You think about all the scams that are out there. I mean, I'm sure anybody listening has dealt with something. I mean, whether it's even the really lame ones from a long time ago, like, I am Prince blah blah blah. If I need you,
Yeah.
I need you to say. And then, I mean, there are some sophisticated ones. I got about what 8 years ago, and put in a password.
Yeah.
Because it said something like, whatever I don't know, your subscription, or it was something about a virus and the computer, put in a password, and we got robbed out of my bank. So like, the phishing, the sophistication of the phishing emails, all the different ways that people on the internet are trying to rob people. I mean, it's widespread, but this one, no, I really didn't know it was. But you think about it, and it is like, because of the pressure and because of recruiting,
Yeah.
and this need to like make sure, and I've been that parent saying, make sure, man, do not do anything stupid on the internet. I mean, you don't want anybody to do anything stupid, period. But it's like, just understand, these people out there, they go through everything. Well, these people, these scammers, know that, and they know that these young kids feel that pressure. And so, you read through these things, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You can, if it's not hard to just go target someone, find some of their contacts, and just be in a position to, if they make the mistake and send a picture, okay, well, I'm sending it to all these people now, so pay me. And it's just, it's again, separately,
Yeah,
so heartbreaking that it has led to these kids harming themselves so much. But again, that's kind of a separate issue. But bottom line is to get out in front of it and be aware. Wes in Clarksville says kids don't need phones and social media until they get driver's licenses. Too much bad out there. Yeah, I mean that sounds good. The phones, the social media part of that, I would agree. I mean, go as long as you can. The phone thing is hard. It really is hard, because there's a safety side of that too, right? Where you want to be able to
get in contact with your children,
monitor and that's part of the problem.
Well, from this article, there's an FBI agent in here that it talks about some numbers. It's, quote, our victims subset really began to shift. Instead of having a high number of females targeted, our male population between ages of 14 and 17 really started to get targeted. And we also found that suicide risk in that population was also much higher than in traditional sextortion. And they throw out some numbers here, and it talked about in 2022, there were like 10,000 reports of these incidents. And by 2024, so 2 years later, it had risen to more than 30,000. So like it just kind of shows you how quickly some of this stuff is getting on the radar out there.
Yeah. So, look, I mean, I'm like good work by like FBI and police to get through this and actually get to the point where some of these people can be prosecuted.
Yep.
Obviously, you hope that that's a deterrent, and that this story being out there and some of these people being held accountable helps. But yeah, just read it and share it if you can.
Yeah, again, Dan Wetzel, the author of this, it's at ESPN.com, came out about 5 days ago, but Rexrode found this and felt like it was worth sharing, and I totally agree. So go check that out. Take some time to read it for yourself and educate yourself on that. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. Charles Robinson will be with us at 7:30. We'll get into all things NFL with him from 7:30 to 8 on today's program. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
I'm inventing solutions for gout.
Brain cancer.
Catch one stray pee-pee and
No doubt about it.
go goo gaga. Woo! Look at that little
sure.
man running around. He's going to be a great pro.
Am I a clown to you, Mike?
That ball hit high and deep. Stretch. Get on back there. They look up. You can put it on the board. Yes.
It is that time of the day, an early edition of the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. Joseph, I felt like you might be in a ranting mood today. So with that in mind, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I was actually I've been holding on to a Tigers rant, and I was actually going to do it today if they lost to the freaking Minnesota Twins again last night. I mean, Tarek Skubal gives up 3 runs early, and it's like, are you kidding me? But the Tigers are showing a little grit.
Yeah.
They came through and they won, so I'll lay off that. Today I'm going to talk about the Michigan Wolverines.
Okay.
The 2023 Michigan Wolverines, because today they get their penalty from the NCAA. I don't know what it'll be. There's some reporting it'll be the biggest fine ever, included. Yeah, I know. But I mean, the problem is, the problem is that the penalties in the NCAA structure make no sense, because it's not fair to hit a current team, for what this team a few years ago did. What you need to do is you need to penalize the people who cheated, right? I mean, that's it. So I think they've gotten a little better about that. Like, the show causes are all you can really do. So I think we'll see something like that. It is a little different with Michigan with Sharon Moore being there still. So maybe there will be more of a suspension. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be anything major, but I think this is a good time to say for one more time, I want to take Michigan fans out of the discussion. You have shut up. I know your team did nothing wrong. And if Connor Stallions wore Ohio State scarlet and gray or Michigan State green and white, he's the biggest cheater of all time. And it's the same hypocrisy for the Ohio State, Michigan State fans. You shut up too. None of you can have any part in this discussion. You are biased, and this is what college sports is. And it's the exact same situation happened with your team as the other team. You flip it around, you'd have the complete 180 on your take, right? We know this. Can we all agree on this?
Yes.
It's a pointless discussion. So take them out of it. I really think some people have, and Dan Wolken wrote a really good column on this in USA Today. I kind of wrote the same thing a couple months ago, and of course I got called like the, like, okay, shut up. But Dan Wolken made a good point, and this is my whole thing with this. We can all laugh now at the recruiting cheating stuff, right? Not that it mattered. I mean, if your team lost out on like the program changing recruit because the other team paid him, well, that sucks. But also, your team was probably trying to pay him and just didn't pay him enough or whatever, right? Yeah. That's another thing that fans can't seem to wrap their mind around. The other guy's cheating. Our coach, though, he's got integrity. Yeah,
or you had Adidas and everybody else had Nike, which apparently is a big concern now. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tennessee's going to lose recruits so much now because they switched to Adidas. Good God. Okay, but this instance should be something we all agree on. And I think this is a great, Wolken. So Wolken had done this big thing on cheating in general for USA Today. And he quotes this sociologist who makes the point, right? This is, I want to make sure I get this guy's name right. This is, boy, I'm doing a really good job of this. Sean Klein. He's an Arizona State philosophy professor. Okay. But he's written about ethics in sports. And the point being, look, obviously people cheat on taxes. Like in society, people cut corners, right? And that happens. Society is going to exist and people are going to cut corners. But sports are like, the whole point is, here are the rules of the game.
Yeah.
Like you don't have a game if you don't have that, right? So it's different than just, oh yeah, of course people cut corners. And I think in any instance, and I think of like the Astros cheating scandal, when it's something where like you're actually cheating, you are the game itself, you are cheating. I think that's something we all should be able to agree on, right?
You would think.
So it just and I'm going to read Wolken here, you know, and I agree with Wolken. Like, and I've said and written this. I think Michigan was the best team. I consider them the national champions. Frankly, with when that team, all this stuff went down and Harbaugh got suspended, and they played all their good games after that and won them, that told me enough. They were the best team. I don't think they should have the title vacated. I don't think that should be part of the punishments. However, I'm going to quote Wolken. Quote, but whether Michigan cheated on its way to a national title shouldn't be up for debate. Thanks to an enterprising staffer who was so desperate to impress his bosses that he crossed every line imaginable, the Wolverines were playing a different game than their opponents. And if you can't acknowledge that, they played you too, end quote. Let's just all acknowledge they were cheaters. Blatant cheating. And it absolutely matters. And if you were sitting there next to the D coordinator in this game in Ohio State that you shockingly won, and you just see Connor Stein say it's this, boom, 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 Jesse Minter get the call in. I mean, it's obvious that it mattered. Yes, everybody tries to steal signs, but he did things so far beyond cheating to get more information. I don't understand why this is hard. So it's not the same to me as it's this kid got a car, Eric Dickerson got a Trans Am or whatever. This is actually cheating the game, and it should be treated seriously. As we know, the NCAA is largely a joke when it comes to enforcement. So I'll be interested to see what they do. But I just feel like we can end this chapter, and we should all agree that Connor Stallions and the Michigan Wolverines cheated. And did you ever watch the Netflix special, Robby?
I did, yes.
I mean, the amazing thing about that one is, again, if you mostly like Michigan fans somehow watch that, like, see, they're like, dude, you watched that and you thought they didn't cheat?
Yeah.
My God.
I thought I was watching Jack Ryan at one point. I was like, what's going on out here? Jeez.
Then like there's no way that you'll ever be convinced. And again, this is the tribalism of college football. It's part of why we love it, but it's also part of why all those people who are so biased should never be in this discussion anyway.
I thought you were going to get on here and come out with finally some actual evidence that Michigan called Shane Beamer and South Carolina and gave them all of Tennessee signals back in 2022. And that's why they scored 1,000 touchdowns in that game.
Well, I don't know about Michigan, but Connor himself.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we've talked about this. I don't dismiss that whatsoever. And I think that remember, if you're Michigan at that point, you want Tennessee the hell out. It's a 4-team playoff, and it is of high interest to you.
Here we go.
It is to have Tennessee. I've said this on the show before, and we've talked about it. Like I've asked a few coaches on that Tennessee staff, if they believe that this was a thing. I mean, they scored touchdowns on 10 straight possessions.
Yeah.
Right? Or it could have been 10 straight.
I think
8
it was
straight?
I think it was 8. Yeah.
I mean, it was something absolutely insane. And I never got back anyone who was like, oh, we're sure of it. But certainly, like, when we talked about it, it's like, I don't know, you tell me, right? Yeah. I mean, it's weird.
It's very weird.
But if you look at all of what Connor Stallions did, I think it's absolutely plausible that Michigan and Connor Stallions had a hand in that South Carolina win over Tennessee.
Shane Beamer, you dog. See how it goes for him this year.
But see, maybe Shane didn't. Again, it's like being the head of an organized crime family. Yeah. Well, there's always buffers. Yeah. So Shane didn't talk to anybody. I have no knowledge of that. I don't know.
Spurrier, deep cover agent. 615-737-1025. Our phone number 615-737-1025. We will get back into the Titans coming up next, including a story on the new stadium that has Rexrode raising his eyebrows a little bit. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Friday morning, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Tune in later today on 94.9 The Fan for the Nashville Sounds taking on Durham with first pitch at 5:35. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports will be with us in about 30 minutes. We'll get his thoughts on all things NFL. TD at 8:15 today, moved it back 15 minutes, but he'll be with us on the program at 8:15 to look ahead to the Titans and the Falcons coming tonight in preseason game number 2. We'll take your thoughts on that in the meantime, 615-737-1025. Joe, Titans president and CEO Burke Nihill has been making the rounds as of late, discussing some developments with the new stadium, and he was on the broadcast last week in preseason game number 1 between the Buccaneers and the Titans, and he talked about some of the renovation or some of the developments that are going on with the new stadium and kind of his thoughts on what the tickets are going to look like and all these different things. And he sat down with Easton Freeze of A to Z Sports as well. And, he's used this phrase a lot recently, Joe, which is, discussing the new stadium, quote, think Paradise Park meets ESPN Zone, and trying to describe like what the experience and the viewing experience is going to be like for fans and the different things they've got to do. And he's talked about like the different like luxury items that they're going to have and how much space is going to be there and all these different things. So with that in mind, he talks about a lot of that again in a piece at A to Z Sports that Easton Freeze put out there last week about the stadium and all those things. But there are a couple things in here that Burke Nihill said that caught your attention. What stood out to you about this interview that A to Z Sports did with Burke Nihill?
Well, look, I think it's a good job by Easton Freeze. Good idea to get Burke Nihill and go through some of this stuff. I wanted to do something on this. I heard DVD talking about it earlier this week, and I read the story last week, and I think it was the same day or maybe it was the day before the Bucs preseason game, and then Nihill went on the game broadcast and said basically the exact same stuff. And I must say, first of all, you talk about Paradise Park meets ESPN Zone.
Yeah,
I don't. The ESPN Zone part of that is like whatever, but Paradise Park, my God, I miss that place. I love that place. I forget who the loser is who replaced. Oh man, the tater tots, the bacon cheeseburger, the soaked beer in the carpeting. That place was amazing. So I'm all for that. There's a lot of interesting stuff in here, and look, we've talked a lot about the idea of the antiseptic corporate atmosphere that's possible, the possibility, of course, of a continuation, frankly, of big fan bases buying out a lot of seats. I think that has a fair amount to do with the actual product on the field as things move forward. But some good stuff in here that first of all, Burke Nihill told Easton that he had $60 million in PSL credits.
Yep.
To invite them along. That's a lot of credits. That sounds like it's a big number. Again, the numbers, if you go through the whole stadium, are gigantic, I assure you. So he makes this reference a couple times, and this is the only thing that really bothered me. I want to do this segment because I'd like people to weigh in who have had experiences. DVD had people complaining. They had people saying, actually, I thought it was, I knew it was going to go up, but it wasn't crazy, and I stuck with them. And so that's what you want to hear. But Nihill says, so here's a quote. It says, quote, to give you some very specific data points on dispelling the idea that this building is not for our core fan, even once we decided to kind of bring pricing to what was something that felt right to us, which meant PSLs as low as $750, which was not something that our consultants were recommending. They still expected that based on past stadium work they'd done, maybe 40 to 50% of current season ticket members would come over to the current building, end quote. He made that reference a couple times to, the consultants told us we should do this, and we said, no, we are not going to do that. Sorry, I'm having trouble talking today. This is one of those things, like if you're someone in a situation like this, you just like type something in, like have AI tell you like to do something ridiculous. Say, my advisor said I should do this, and I am doing something for the people. I would advise anyone in that place, because when you say stuff like that, like most people know that you're just straight up gaslighting them.
Yep.
Okay. So that bothered me. But I think, look, I think that I like Burke also talks about how he's having his family that they're going to be in the upper deck. One thing I totally believe is that the uppers, and this is obviously smaller capacity, but the uppers at this stadium will be way better than at current Nissan,
Yes.
right? And these stadiums are built to where they really have tried kind of taken out just the terrible, terrible sight lines that older stadiums have. So I buy that for sure. So I mean, I think it's again a worthwhile story. You don't need to tell us about your consultants were telling you this or that, because it just, people are just going to immediately roll their eyes at that. But I came away from this, I guess, feeling a little better about at least the idea that some people have gotten a decent deal out of this. Like you can't expect, you have to know prices are going up. You have to understand that. That's the reality. It's like when we talk about the Thompson Bowling Arena and stuff like that. Like I do think you should make exceptions, and you should grandfather in people as much as possible, especially with college programs when you're talking way more time and decades. But also, this is big business, and there's a reality to it.
Well, you brought up Berg Nihill talked about 60 million in PSL credits, and he said, I think later in that quote, that wildly exceeds what the projections were, and that they're happy about it. We've had the conversation with PK, really over the last year, about the stadium and how sales were going and what that looked like. And PK has been pretty consistent the whole time of like, the Titans are saying that sales are going well and that they're feeling really good about it, which I know some people have heard that. And the feedback that we've got from that is, well, how can that be? Like, our experience is it's really expensive to upgrade and to get into the new stadium, and the team's awful. So how is that? And we've talked about like really wanting to avoid as much as possible, an antiseptic environment in the new stadium where it's just totally corporate, and it feels like you're at a Toronto Maple Leafs game out there, and there I'm not sure how many actual fans are in the building, and it's just a bunch of corporate people. So you don't want that, and I don't think you're going to get too much of that. But that number, I saw that 60 million in PSL credits, and you look at the 70% number that they're pacing at in the PSL renewals and all that stuff. I will say, like, when I see those numbers, Joe, that is probably better than I expected it to be, given everything that's going on around the football team, and then the prices involved in some cases in the new stadium as well.
Yeah, and Kaharski, even a while ago, was talking about he thought that things were going better than some people believed, and that they would again, that like they're going to these tickets. It just comes down to how many of these tickets are bought by people who either are Titans fans who are getting in on it now,
yep,
or again, a lot of his retention, and then how many of them are basically going to be up for grabs. And you're going to have corporate seats. You're going to have a lot of that anyway. You're going to have a lot of ticket brokers who have a lot of seats. What percentage of it do they have? And again, those are the people who then are going to sell them to the Bills fans when the Bills come to town, the Steelers fans, or the Steelers come to town, et cetera, et cetera. So reading this, it sounds like they have a chance to have a good atmosphere, a decent amount of Titans fans in your average game.
Well, here's the other thing that stood out to me. Like, we've all been to Nissan Stadium, and most of the time when I've been, Joe, it's been in the upper deck. We used to have season tickets in the upper deck, and I kind of like watching football games in the upper deck just because you can see the whole field and all that stuff. Anyway, he had this quote, if you're in current Nissan Stadium, it gets crowded in those concourses. Like if you have to go to the bathroom or you're going to buy a beer or whatever, like you could pretty much count on missing like half a quarter. Like it's basically how it's been, depending on what you're doing. And this is what Burke Nihill said again in an interview with Easton Freeze from A to Z Sports. Quote, the seats, 38% closer to the field than the current stadium, twice as many bathrooms up there. It'll be twice as easy to go get food and beverages because of the frictionless markets, and the terrace is right outside. So I think once people actually start to experience it, these myths of, quote, they're pricing us out, they don't care about us, the team is moving on. No, the team is moving forward. The team is taking a step into where we think this team belongs relative to the National Football League and what our fans deserve. That's what Berg Nihill had to say about that.
Yeah. Look, the NFL, all these owners are greedy sons of guns. So, I mean, that's the reality. So you can always do that too. You can always point to, but yeah, if you look around the rest of the league, there's some places that are charging way more than we are. So, it's like, okay, well, it doesn't make it right. Robert says, I just don't see how the regular Joe is going to be able to go to the games. It's been the backbone of support of this franchise since day one in the new stadium. It's just too much. Well, look, then this is, you take that beyond. I guess you could really take this to a big picture and say, like, it's hard, like it's expensive to do anything anymore. Incredibly, it's absurd. But yeah, I think regular fans have been priced out of sporting events at an insane rate in the last 25 years. Maybe a little more than that. That's the way where it has gone. If you're running that business, you realize that the more luxury things you offer, there are people with money who will actually give you ridiculous sums of money so that they can have their special experience. So, but my whole thing is you should, and all these teams say they do, and some do it better than others. You still need to have young families coming to your games. You need, there's all, again, it's a big picture. It's like college sports. Like, hey, we can get better rights fees now if we put USC and Oregon in the Big Ten. Think of those TV deals. It's like, yeah, but you want fans for the next generation too. You want there to be, you want to create fandom and you want to create loyalty and passion. And if it's only rich people and corporate seats at these stadiums, I think that's going to be harder to do.
615-737-1025, our phone number. A lot of your thoughts to get to on the new stadium and some of the comments from Burke Nihill. We'll do that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. This September, Tim McGraw will be performing at Trinetics' Rock the Cradle in Nashville, a meaningful event supporting newborns and moms at Ascension St. Thomas Midtown. Get your tickets at rockthecradlenashville.org. Charles Robinson will be with us here in just over 10 minutes. We'll get his thoughts on all things NFL. Taking your thoughts on the Titans in the new stadium, some of the comments that Berg Nihil made with A to Z Sports last week, 615-737-1025. Wes in Clarksville says, all that is BS. We got to pay $12 for hot dogs, $15 for a beer. It should already be better than it was. That part is interesting, Joe, because I don't know that that's going anywhere anytime soon, like the concession prices. I wondered when Atlanta, which I guess ties into tonight's game, when they opened their new stadium and they went the other way on concession prices, and it was like, yeah, let's make concessions, pretty reasonable out there. Would that be a trend? It has not been a trend throughout the rest of sports lore when they've opened up all these things. We'll see exactly what it looks like when the Titans come around here. But, I mean, look, I'm still getting over some sticker shock at Disney World for all this food we just paid for a couple weeks ago. I think that's just the way of the world right now.
Yeah, I've always, I do like what they've done. And I am with you. I was like, maybe this will become a thing. Although, when that happened, to me, it's like this stuff's always such a shell game. So it's like, yeah, we're gonna cut down on this, and it's like, okay, so like they'll get you somewhere else, right?
Yep.
Like it's like they'll figure out a way. They will now. Granted, it's different. It's different. For the vending people, it's like, geez, man, those people. Like a lot of these places have, especially in the stadiums, some of these people have like there's like independent vendors who obviously count on a certain amount of income.
You get a hot dog at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for $2.
Yeah,
can't beat that.
Yeah, it's like especially if you're like someone's guest for their tickets, and it's like an amazing. You just show up and like, wow, I can actually eat for cheap. Whereas most stadiums, it's absolutely absurd. You get your first beer and it's like, well, I guess this will be it today then, So yeah, it's crazy expensive when you add it all up. You add up parking and all that stuff for people to go to these. I think I just think if you have a big picture view of this, you want people to experience this. If you're the Titans, you want people to experience the new stadium. I think the place is going to be amazing. I have no doubt about that. You look at the mock-ups, I think it's going to be, for Titans games and for concerts, for inevitably like the Final Four, probably a national championship game in college football, all these things. WrestleMania, it'll be a great place. But is it, do you have enough in place to retain fans and again help grow fans? Every pro league is also just worried about like sports fandom in general, in society moving forward. And there's a lot of tentacles to that, but I think that the in-game experience, think about, I know for me, like the first time I walked into Tiger Stadium, it's like, it was like magic. Those things, like you want people to be able to come to your venue and experience that. I think that's a big part of building fandom.
Man, I'm looking at this menu right now down there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. If you guys are wanting to go to the preseason game tonight, you can get in there and get you a nice, a soda for $2, hot dog for $2, nachos for $3. It's like 1987. How about that?
That's wild. Is Chick-fil-A cheaper too? Because they're actually open.
I doubt that. But yeah, they'd be open tonight. Lord, you may talk me into going to the Falcons-Titans preseason game tonight.
Easton Stick time.
Yeah.
Well, you could go to Chick-fil-A and like get a chicken sandwich, and then you just go to the regular concession stand and get the cheap pop, right?
I don't know what that is, so I'm not going to dignify that.
You don't know what a pop is?
Pop?
It's short for soda pop.
Oh, okay.
That's that's what it's called.
Soda.
That's good.
Well, you call it soda or you call it pop. I go with pop. It's one less syllable, and I like to be efficient.
Unlimited refills. So one texter says. I don't know, man.
Really?
I don't know.
Unlimited refills.
Really, I need to get down to a Falcons game. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, but again, and this is when you want to go. You want to go to a Falcons game, either like a preseason game like this, or
when they're out of
the random Thursday or Monday. You
Yeah.
know, because I mean, yeah, the fact that their biggest days of the year have a dormant Chick-fil-A
Yeah.
sitting there is pretty funny.
It is pretty good on that front. A lot of people worrying about the opposing fan, right? And we've talked about that before. If when the new stadium comes, is it just going to be overrun with Bills fans and Patriots fans and all these different fan bases? We'll see. Like, look, I've said this before. I think for the first couple of years anyway, there's going to be just natural, like people are going to want to go to Titans games around here just to see the new stadium, right? Like beyond even the football part of it, they're going to want to go. Like I'm curious. I want to go to a game in the new stadium just to see the new stadium, and then that goes on for a few years, and then that goes away, right? Like the curiosity of the new stadium goes away, and then it becomes about, all right, how good is the football team? What sort of other events am I going to have access to if I buy season tickets? All these different things factor into the equation, but you know Nashville, I don't know that with the way our city is right now, I don't know that we're ever going to be able to fully escape like opposing fans wanting to come here and being willing to pay prices to get in the building. I don't know. Like some places are just more susceptible to that, right? Like Vegas, you're going to find a whole lot of opposing fans in the building in Vegas, right? It's a fun road city to go to. Nashville and Vegas aren't exactly the same, but I think it's in the same category of like people like coming to Nashville. So I don't know that we're ever going to fully eliminate or really seriously mitigate the amount of opposing fans that are coming in.
No, it's going to be significant here. It's absolutely, and I think it's very comparable. I mean, what the bachelorette parties? Is it bachelorette parties are more here than Vegas now? I know that there's some talk about Vegas struggling too, but
I know
no, it's gonna
bachelorette
be,
for sure.
yeah. Like Texter's asking, like, do you foresee the new stadium being taken over? What causes it to be taken over? Is it ticket brokers holding multiple PSLs, or the same ticket brokers buying PSLs in the new stadium? I don't know what ticket brokers are doing. I know that if I were a ticket broker, I know a ticket broker actually in Michigan, and he has, he's got all these Dodgers tickets. I mean, what they do is they go around and they try to project. I know a few years ago when the Blackhawks started getting good, he bought up a ton of Blackhawks tickets, and it was like, this is going to pay off. I promise you, if you're a ticket broker, you look at this place and you look at, like you said, just the fact that people love coming here and then they want to see their football team. If you have, it's a gold mine. It's a gold mine. So yeah, they buy PSLs, they absolutely, and they make their money tenfold on that. And that's not going to change. Again, it's like, but so you just, as a Titans fan who wants a great atmosphere for your team, you just want as many people who care about the Titans as possible to re-up with season tickets. And then even again, some of those people also, by the way, will still like sell off, right? Like one game a year and pay for everything else. I mean, that's just that's how it is. It's a blessing and a curse that here in Nashville, it's just magnified because people love to come here.
Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports will be with us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Friday morning. And we head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our friend Charles Robinson to the program from Yahoo Sports. Charles, good morning, buddy. How we doing?
What's going on, fellas? You'll have to excuse my voice. I'm a little still sick, so battling it out here in Jacksonville.
Man, you're just a warrior. You got you're still sick. Rexrode's laid up with gout. A lot of things going on here on the program.
It's been a month.
Iron Man.
It's been a month on the road now. Yeah, exactly. I think literally this is my seventh day in my fourth week. Joe, you're laid up with gout. What the heck, man?
Yeah, it's kind of a problem. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. It's
kind of a huge issue.
It just really sucks. Thanks.
Oh, man.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Hey, nobody said our late 40s / early 50s would be easy.
It's true. It's true.
That's right.
So, Charles, you rolled through Jaguars camp, which would be of high interest around here. Obviously, the new regime in Jacksonville, division rival of the Tennessee Titans. So what kind of stood out to you about your experience with the Jaguars?
Yeah, it was an interesting day to be in with them because they did this. They did like a full intra-squad scrimmage. So it was like 1s versus 1s, 2s versus 2s, 3 versus 3s. And, it was meant to be intense. It was hot as hell. I mean, it was just, good God, it was brutal. And I live in Houston, and I'm like, man, this is terrible. It was interesting. They were, it was sloppy. Like, it was very, the offense, I think there were 7 drops, double digit, like, penalties, whether it was like false starts or, time violations. Like, it was, you could see they're still getting up to speed with Liam Cohen's offense. And, just talking to people in the building, Trevor's still, there's a learning curve there, and he's, still picking things up. I thought it was interesting, he said yesterday, he was talking about just sort of like his mechanics, and now it's getting to the point where he's not thinking anymore. Like, he went through this, the idea of when he's in shotgun, which foot should be forward versus which should be back. And, someone in the building said to me, you can see in terms of like looking at film from him last year to this year, you can see that his body mechanics, he's getting a little more disciplined. It's more compact, which is something is good to hear, because that's really what Liam Cohen helped to do for Baker Mayfield. It was something very similar, where it's just, Trevor being tall and his arms being long. Like, long guys can kind of get a little loose in their throwing motion, and then also the way they stand. And I think that's really been something that they've been working on. And, watching Travis Hunter, I mean, he went both ways. They shuffled him in. He started with the DBs on the first team, and then eventually they moved him to wide receiver. He dove for a ball at one point and wasn't able to make the catch, hit the ground really hard, and laid there for a second. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, man, I just watched an injury happen that cannot happen for these guys. He got up, he was fine, he shook it off. But I sat there and I thought about it, and I'm like, this to me is what brings to the forefront this idea of him playing, so many snaps, is just the level of punishment that he's going to take on the NFL level that's going to be different than it was at Colorado. And I was talking to somebody in the building just about how, they're game planning this, how they're working it out. They're sort of building, laying the railroad track with them as they go. And they did agree that, look, the Colorado snap set, when you look at that data set, it's really not all that helpful. All that does is really tell NFL teams, hey, he has an opportunity to go to the next level and play both ways. But you can't read too much into it, because the snaps are not, they're dissimilar to how it will go in the NFL, in especially when it comes to the punishment aspect. So really, they're building the data set now. They have no idea how many snaps he can play, because they haven't gone through it yet. And they might not know until October, November. Then they'll get a better idea of what does this really truly look like for him, enduring NFL punishment on both sides of the ball, and what will that do to how crisp he can run routes, how well he can tackle running backs, things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean that's my whole thing with this is, and I'm a huge Travis Hunter fan. I think he's going to be a great player, but the NFL is so now about math and probabilities, right? Which is great. I mean, so all these. I mean, we've got full blown analytics staffs who are handing these reports to coaches on everything's a probability. Like the injury rate of the NFL, isn't that just its own total deterrent to the entire idea? It's not going to go well to me because you're just, like you said, like you're trying to play at a high level at receiver and take those hits. And now, by the way, you need to set the edge over here and do it just doesn't, like, I don't think human beings in this league can do that.
Yeah. And I'll say too, I would discount, I know there's a lot of, you get a lot of these, players are saying, well, he's stronger and he has more endurance than anybody I've ever seen. He doesn't get tired. I would discount those quotes because what are players going to say? Of course, like they're going to lean into this idea that he's an Iron Man, and that's great, but he's also young, right? And it's just like with running quarterbacks, it's a diminishing return over a long enough continuum. If that's a big part of their game, you got to believe going both ways is going to be a diminishing return at some point along the continuum. And that will get heavily factored when an injury occurs. And I'll bring up Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, Shohei Ohtani, amazing both ways. Then he hurts his elbow. And all of a sudden the Dodgers are like, maybe this pitching thing is something we need to kind of really pull back on. Maybe that is going to have to be a more diminished part of his game than the offense, right? And I think you'll probably see that at some point with Travis Hunter. And I think people are not realistic about the conversations that will happen in the building too along the way, because if you get into a critical game and let's say he's playing, let's just go ahead and we'll buy into this idea of him doing the entire Colorado experience. Let's say he's in the 80th or 90th snap, right? And you're in a critical spot in the fourth quarter and you get a running back who comes off the edge and he's got to come up and tackle the guy. And you get a Pittsburgh situation with Caleb Johnson where we saw him miss that one, right? Let's say he misses a critical situation, a touchdown scored, the game is lost. You don't think the defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator, head coach are going to have a powwow about, okay, how effective is he now at this point, at this, this snap count? Because you might get a DC who's like, hey, man, why don't you just give him to me for 50 snaps and stop screwing around on the other side of the ball? And the guy's fresh and he makes that tackle or he makes that interception or he boxes out the receiver. Conversely, you could have the offensive coordinator who's like, give him to me for 50 snaps and quit screwing around on defense. And he makes the critical catch and doesn't drop it. Or he's able to fight, for a 50-50 ball in the end zone. I do think that those conversations are likely to happen at some point where there's an assessment by two guys who are worrying about their landscape, their territory, my offense, my defense. And they're going to get a little greedy and say, and maybe rightfully greedy and say, we need to focus more with him on this side of the ball. And real quick, the plan, I will say, for the Jaguars that's interesting, this idea that it's going to be some static number where it's like, 30 and 30, split it down the middle or whatever. It's not going to be static. I think it'll be very situational. So you could see some games where if you're the Titans and you're going in and you're saying, okay, we're going to prepare to see Travis Hunter, 40 snaps on offense, 40 on defense or whatever, or just have that in your mind that's how it'll affect the game. The Jaguars could go, no, you know what? In this case, given what their roster makeup is and how their offense or defense functions, we're going to play him 95% snaps defense, and he's only going to get 5 or 6 snaps on offense. And so they're going to use him very much situationally as they see fit, or at least that's the idea of what they would like to do.
So, Charles, there is a Netflix series coming out with the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, and there was a premiere event that they had this week. We talked about this on the show a little bit yesterday where Jerry Jones got out there and basically said, the Cowboys are a soap opera, so when it gets slow, I'll stir some things up, which, we were talking about, like, great, if you're a player in that locker room, it's like, oh, so you're just, like, fully committed to the circus. Like, let's just embrace the circus here and what that does to a locker room. But you've got an interesting take on the Micah Parsons part of this and how that approach from Jerry Jones could be affecting what we're seeing right now.
Well, Robbie, first off, how dare you disrespect one of the greatest quotes in history of NFL owners? Like, how could you not just read the quote verbatim? That is literally one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard in 25 years.
Should we do it in the Jerry voice?
Look, like all these owners and GMs and coaches, they're all, keep it quiet. You don't want outside noise. You don't want distraction. Like, let's focus. Quiet is good. All this stuff. And then you get Jerry walking the red carpet for this Netflix event. And he says, well, I do believe we're not being looked at. I'll do my part to get us looked at. The beautiful thing for networks, or if you will, streaming companies, is that the NFL is a 365-day-a-year interest factor. A lot of programming you have to spend as much as you promote as you do to make it. The Cowboys are a soap opera 365 days a year. And when it gets slow, I'll stir it up. It's wonderful to have the great athletes, have the great players, but there's something more there. There's sizzle, there's emotion, and if you will, there's controversy. That controversy is good stuff in terms of keeping and having people's attention. Oh my God.
That's a heck of a quote there.
Jerry.
Nice voice.
This dude is just, I'm like, that is one of the wildest things I have ever heard an owner say. Basically, like, hey man, if it gets too quiet, like, it reminded me, I told someone, I said, if you ever saw, what was the Will Ferrell movie, the NASCAR, Ricky Bobby, right?
Oh, yeah.
Talladega Nights. He had the dad who was like, he like, when everything was going good, he's like, yeah, it makes me itchy. he talked about wanting to get thrown out of an Applebee's when things get too good. Like, this feels like what Jerry's like. And I think what was crazy is, so as I've gone on the camp tour, I've been asking like GMs, other executives, especially guys who have been involved in big mega trades, what do you think Mike is worth? Like, give me an idea, dial me in. And they go back to the Khalil Mack deal in 2018. And, it's sort of like, hey, two firsts plus a really good starter, or, hey, you could probably push for three firsts with the right team. And I'm sitting with some GM, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but he says to me at one point, he's like, you don't think this has anything to do with like the Netflix thing, right? And I'm like, and he's sort of basically like, what if Jerry knows he's going to pay Micah? He knows he's going to write the $160 million, guaranteed check or whatever it is, 120 million, 140 million, whatever gets it done, guaranteed money. And he knows he's going to pay him 45 annual average value. And the Cowboys have written checks to resolve feelings before, right? And it's always worked. So Jerry knows that. What if Jerry basically is like, hey, I got this Netflix premiere on August 19th. I'm going to go ahead and sit on my hands and I'll be all over the place when it comes to the Micah negotiation, and it's going to get us a lot of attention. It's crazy, like, to me, and it's dangerous, and it's all kinds of wild, but he did just say that.
I was about to say, is it crazy? He just said that. Like, it makes a lot of sense.
Right. He did just say that quote. And by the way, if that was his goal, the Cowboys are always in the A block, right? Anyway, it's just how it is, especially nationally. But this has been different. And it was like Andrew Siciliano and I were talking about this on the podcast. Andrew kind of pushed back and said, hey, we always talk about the Cowboys. I'm like, yeah, but Andrew, there's never been a Netflix premiere that the owners poured the last 2+ years, almost 3 years of his life into, coming out in the middle of it. That, by the way, is sort of his opus and telling and shaping his story and how he's going to look. There's never been that in the middle of it. And this Micah thing has kept the Cowboys not just in A block, but B block, C block. It gets talked about all day long. There's multiple news cycles of it. They have been the story, I would argue, of training camp. The Micah thing has with the Cowboys. And if that is something that really happened here, and I would argue that if we have this show in 2 or 3 weeks and they just write the check and it's all done and everything's fine and everybody's happy and they move on, I would argue that feeds into the idea that maybe this was a setup, that maybe there was some purpose behind why this has gone this way and been so weird.
I mean, this is one of those things that, like, typically I would just dismiss. It just sounds too ridiculous. But I actually totally believe it. It totally makes sense.
It's the
which
one,
is sad.
Like,
but,
Frank Schwab and I were talking about, and he was like, look, he's like, yeah, It's nuts. It's completely insane. But if there's one guy, there's one person that would do it, it's this guy. And I mean, like, the title of the Netflix series was America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is just it's kind of too perfect. And, you know, I was talking to somebody in-house at Yahoo that, you know, does some of the metrics on what PR value is worth. And I think Jerry believes there's no bad PR. Like, if you're out there and it's not for just, you know, a felony, it's a good thing if people are talking about you, especially if it's just controversy, contracts, stuff like that. I mean, he has drummed up $100 million worth of PR on this Micah thing over the last 3 weeks. I mean, it's been on every single show, it's been eating up podcast time. We're talking about it on the radio. Like, it's just, if there, as Frank said, if there's a guy, this is the guy who would do it. And by the way, he said he would do it. He kind of said he would do it.
Pretty much told us. So, Charles, what kind of bombshells are we talking about potentially here with this Gruden lawsuit? I mean, we're gonna get in discovery a lot more emails, right? What kind of stuff we're gonna find out, and what do you think? I mean, I know Gruden just said like he died a coach. I feel like he's gonna be a college coach, but what do you think about like his future in the NFL as a coach?
Well, it's interesting because the NFL kind of got dealt. I mean, they got whacked on this with the Nevada Supreme Court, you know, basically saying, hey, not basically, they're saying it should go to trial. And also the Brian Flores, the appellate court, saying, I mean, you know, you have a state court and then a federal court saying your arbitration system, coaches should not be forced to go through your arbitration systems, in particular when it's something this big. And the fingers are pointed at Roger Goodell, who, if it was to go to your arbitration decision, would be your arbitrator, effectively. They're like, that can't be allowed to happen. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big deal for both the Gruden and Flores lawsuit. I think for the Gruden one in particular, you ask yourself two questions. Like, at the beginning, when I would talk to people close to John, they were like, it's scorched earth. They're like, because I'm like, they're going to write a check eventually, right? And they're like, John's rich. He doesn't want the money. He wants blood. He wants the absolutely burn 345 Park Avenue to the ground. And I wonder if that's changed now over time. I don't know if it has or hasn't. So that's the first question. And I think the second question is, would the NFL ultimately write that check if they get to the point where you got to move in for discovery? There's something really there's something damaging in there waiting for you. And I would tend to think it's who leaked the emails, right? Like, that's the big deal. Everyone wants to know who is the leaker and how did the leak happen? Was there direction given from Roger or anyone else inside the organization? Like, that's the super juicy stuff, is like basically nailing, you know, the person who got the initial foray of stuff out there. And, you know, the idea that the NFL won't write a check, that's really not true, because look, they settled Kaepernick, right? They settled Jim Trotter. You know, there have been situations where they felt inclined to write a check to just resolve something. This one is a little different because you have a guy who could be defiant and say, I don't want the check. I think it's for me, us, I think everybody, I think it's in our interest from the drama standpoint to see this go. I'm a little reluctant as a reporter to sit here and go, yeah, somebody's going to get exposed as a whistleblower, you know, inside the machine, because those emails, I don't know, man. I'm glad I know the content of those emails. Once I saw them, I'm like, whether he had a job or not, this is pertinent to, you know, I think the guy's mindset. I'm glad I know that, you know, this is stuff that was said, and, you know, it went back and forth. And, but again, you know, if it's Roger at the top directing this, maybe people have a right to know that too, or at the very least, Gruden, from a legal standpoint, thus far has proven he has a right to know more than he knows now. So this is rough, and I think it's going to change. It has to change the way the NFL's arbitration system works with coaches, because the coaches have said, we're not subject to this. You can't force us to go in your arbitration system. The league has said that's not true. Covers you guys too. Covers everybody. And now they're going to have to fix that in some way, because this shows that it can definitely be penetrated by court cases on both the federal and state level.
Charles, last thing for you here, a couple quarterback injuries I want to get your thoughts on. Number one, Shedeur Sanders, not going to play in the preseason game this weekend.
Yeah.
How big a deal is that going to be for the rest of the preseason? And then also Jordan Love having surgery on his non-throwing hand before the season began. Looks like he's going to be ready for week one, but just your thoughts on both of those guys.
Well, Shedeur, the oblique injury, those can linger for sure. So that could be a big problem for them. It's losing the second exhibition game alone is damaging for him. And I've told people we're looking at this wrong. This was what he's done in the preseason and what he would have continued to do was never geared toward really moving him up the depth chart. It was geared toward, can he plant a seed? And I would say it's the same with Dylan Gabriel. Can he plant a seed so that when we get into the regular season, if we get to the point where Flacco is just completely ineffective, we have to make a change, or we're out of the playoffs, or we have to make some kind of a decision at the quarterback spot, can he plant a seed to put himself in the middle of that conversation? Same with Dylan Gabriel. And through one game, he definitely had. I think that first game against Carolina, he showed, hey, I have ability. I'm a gamer. I've, had some comfort level. Wasn't perfect, through some near picks, hospital balls. He had some bad throws, but it was something. Gave them some traction. They looked at him a lot of different ways. Now you take him off the field, I think there's a chance he might not play in a significant part of the rest of the preseason. So it's a blow for him for sure, because it affects not only the snaps he would have gotten, but where he places himself in the mind of management and the coaching staff when decisions could ultimately need to be made in November, December, whatever. And as far as Jordan Love, look, yeah, he'll be back for the regular season. That's their belief. But the wide receiver position is all mixed there. They're still trying to figure that out, which to me means maybe beyond the two tight ends. I think, I think they feel good at the tight end spot, but the wide receivers are still trying to figure out that chemistry. This hurts. Them not being out there hurts. And in a weird way, I look at the NFC North now and I'm like, man, every team kind of has, J.J. McCarthy's up and down with the Vikings right now. Caleb Williams, they're throwing the kitchen sink at him, and he's having a really hard time with it. And so we don't really know how well is he going to handle this offense when the season starts. Now you got Jordan Love, who's going to miss a significant number of at least chemistry snaps in practice with these wide receivers. And then, you got the Lions where you're like, what's going to happen with the loss of the coaches with Frank Ragnow? Like, will that still ultimately look the same? We all had this, at least I had this idea where I'm like, man, the NFC North is just all monsters. And now I'm kind of like, ooh, man, I don't know. There's some problems here and there for these teams, and it'll be interesting to see, how it manifests. So not good for Green Bay when it comes to sorting out the wide receivers, where I would defy you guys to tell me who the one is there. I still have no clue when I look at that batch.
I think they're hoping like crap it's Matthew Golden, but you're talking about a guy that's never played a game.
Yeah, right. And again, don't you think he profiles out as a 2?
Yes.
I think a lot of people in the league will tell you that. Yeah, he profiles he could be a good 2. Okay, well, if he's a good 2, he's not a 1. And if Christian Watson was your 1, he's never on the field, or he's very, he's hurt constantly. Yeah, I mean, it's they have some things I think that they should be worrying about right now, and it's unfortunate because I think there's no doubt the talent's there. They got to have a clean camp, and particularly with the quarterback being available. And he gets nicked up a lot. I feel like am I wrong about that?
No.
Doesn't it feel like Jordan Love is hurt a lot?
Yes. It's started to become a huge problem. There's no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, Robby, you would know. So is it like you got to be frustrated?
Very frustrated.
With this situation. But I mean, hey, but you know what? Aaron's not looking great. Pittsburgh right now.
It's true.
Maybe there was no real resolution to the Aaron Jordan Love debate at this stage.
That is true. Charles, great stuff as always, man. Hope you get to feeling better. Thanks for powering through and being with us, and we will talk to you next week.
I appreciate it, but you're not. I real quick, I got to ask you guys. So, what's everybody saying about Cam Ward now? There, like, I'm curious what the vibe is. Like, what are your callers, listeners? What are people saying?
Well, the entire operation doesn't look very good right now. I think there's real concern about like just how bad this team could be. The one thing that the biggest positive right now, which I think it may end up being the most important thing of the whole thing, is Ward and Ridley look really good together. And that may end up being the only thing that anybody cares about at the end of the year.
Yeah, good sign that he he clearly looks for that guy. Like that, if you would ask me, like, hey, who do you want him to dial in on? I'd be like, yeah, Ridley. That would be great if that became a thing.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, I appreciate it. Have a good week. All right.
Yes,
Feel
sir.
better, buddy.
You as well. Charles Robinson joins us every week here on the program from Yahoo Sports. We'll react to what Charles had to say. Coming up next, we got Turron Davenport at 8:15. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Friday morning. Turron Davenport will be with us here in just a few minutes at 8:15. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans and the Falcons coming up tonight in preseason game number 2 for the Titans. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Appreciate Charles Robinson for being with us in the last segment. Lots of interesting stuff there from Charles. Joe, let's start on the Jaguars front. You know, he brought up the Travis Hunter usage part of this and how, you know, it may not just be as simple as he's playing 35 snaps a game on each side of the ball every game. Maybe one game they look at it and say, you know what? We feel like we're going to need you more on defense in this game. Or maybe one game it's, you know what? Maybe we don't need you as much on defense in this game and you're going to play offense. So it is going to be fascinating to see, I guess, how they try to do that and how they utilize that throughout the year. I am with you, though, like in terms of just the idea of him playing significant snaps on both sides of the football for an extended length of time does make you wonder, like, okay, so how quickly is some sort of injury going to happen? And maybe it's not even from wear and tear, but that's the first thing people are going to start talking about of him getting hurt. Is it from wear and tear? Is it because he's playing too much? And how are the Jags going to go about handling that, though? So that, like, early in the year, we're not going to know, like, I think for sure the first week, but through the first month of the year, like, that's going to be something I think really interesting to keep an eye on of how often he's on the field on both sides of the ball. How much does that change from game to game? And once you have some information on it, if you're the Jags, having seen it in action, how do you adjust from that point?
Yeah, I'd love to see it work out. I don't think it will. And it's like, and of course, he talks, some of the conversations like what great shape he's in.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. You know, but there's lots of people who can run marathons. They don't have to run marathons and then also tackle a 6'2", 200-pound dude who runs a 4.5 and then turn around and grapple with a 6-foot, 195-pound guy who's you know, slapping at you all the way down the field. Like, it's just, again, I mean, to me the math is very simple. Like, it's just everyone else in this league exposes themselves in 50 snaps to injury in a sport where injury is 100%, as Mike Vrabel likes to say, and you're going to do that 80, 90, 100 times, you're going to get hurt. It's like, it's very simple math, right? I don't. So I love the idea, and I don't doubt that he's good enough. Again, I believe that he should be a cornerback in this league and that he will be one of the best corners in the league quickly and has a chance to be an all-time great cornerback. Some people think he's better at receiver. I could see him being a difference maker at receiver too. But I think it's probably going to end up drifting toward wherever they believe he's best. You're going to do that full time, and then you're going to maybe sprinkle in some of the other side, which, again, to me, that makes more sense if that's defense as a full-time job. And, yeah, here and there, absolutely, try to make some plays with him on the offensive side of the ball. It's an interesting thing you said there, Robby, about this particular game, that particular game. Again, it sounds good. I just don't know how that plays out. And because, you know, it's, again, like even if it's like, okay, this game – they don't have a great passing offense or whatever, like, it's still the NFL.
Right.
And so if you take out a key guy of what you're doing on defense, then that mediocre passing game has a chance to look a lot better all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, is he your best corner or is he not? Right. Like, are you going to, like, not play him if he's your best corner?
In college football, when Colorado plays Colorado A&M, then yes, you're fine. In the NFL, and everybody has dudes. I mean, you know, Colin Cowherd said this week that the Titans might have the worst receiving corps in the league. At the exact same time that Cam Ward said they're top 5.
Yeah.
But even if Colin Cowherd is correct, I'd want someone good covering Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
Personally, if I was a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I don't know about you. Charles has convinced me that this entire thing with Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons is a big sham. And by the end of it, he's just going to pay Micah Parsons the money, and this is totally intentional by Jerry Jones. He's convinced me.
I hate stuff like this Usually I think stuff like this is so dumb, but nah, I'm with you. I think
That's 100% what's
adds up.
happening. Yep. I mean, nothing else makes any sense. Like, I've always wondered, like, why, like, from a numbers standpoint, like, if you're going purely on production, his age, it's not like he's had some major injury that he's had to overcome. Like, it's pretty cut and dry, the money that you're going to be paying Micah Parsons. So I've always wondered, like, how the Cowboys have allowed this to get this to this point. And now we know. Like, it's because Jerry loves the drama. And he just outright said it the other day. He's like, yeah, sometimes I'll just stir some stuff up.
And we'll know when, like, again, I don't know. I don't, like, is the Netflix, are they done or are they still ongoing right now?
I don't know. I mean, I think it premieres like next week or something. So I would assume they're done, but I don't know that.
But just like Hard Knocks premieres and
That's
then
true.
they're still doing it in real time. I mean, if especially if they're still doing anything in real time where they can have like the episode, Micah, I knew that we would find a way all along. They have that.
I never lost faith in you, Micah.
Yeah, I never doubted it for a moment. Because I mean, think about it. Like you said, Micah Parsons. So they've had this with Dak and they've had this with CeeDee Lamb. And to me, Dak is definitely one of those where, like, you got to think about it. And I mean, it's not obvious.
Yeah.
I think they probably did the right thing, but you can make the case like, okay, we could gamble and go try to get someone better in the draft. CD, pretty much a slam dunk, but still, even CD compared to this is the one of the three that's like, what?
Yeah.
There's not any question. You're not trading him. If you are, like, you should get 3 firsts. No way you're trading him. No way you're stupid enough to let him get away. And yet we had all this. So yeah, I think I think it's exactly what it is. Jerry has played the world.
And then openly admitted it. Turron Davenport will join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans and the Falcons coming up tonight in preseason game number 2. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hey, Robby Stanley here. Fantasy football right around the corner, and Twin Peaks is your spot for your fantasy football draft party. You can kick off football season at Twin Peaks, the ultimate draft party headquarters. When you're not on the clock, league members can sit back and relax with one of Twin Peaks' refreshing 29-degree beers. They got double stack nachos, the Peak Sampler, loaded fries, multiple flavors of boneless wings, and a whole lot more. Call to book your draft party at the Twin Peaks in Cool Springs or Madison locations, and visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/fantasy draft for more information.
ESPN's Turron Davenport, Talking Titans, now on Robby and Rexrode on ESPN, 102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
It is that time of the week here on Robby and Rexrode. The Titans in action tonight, taking on the Atlanta Falcons in preseason game number 2. And to help us talk more about that, we head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our friend Turron Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter, host of Talking with TD, presented by Bart Durham Injury Law. TD, good morning, man. How are you doing?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How you doing?
Doing awesome, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. So, TD, I'll start it this way. I mean, you saw both joint practices down there in Atlanta. You've got the preseason game coming up tonight. What's your assessment on where this football team is right now at this point in camp? You know, I think up and down would be a fair way to describe it. We know what the roster limitations were heading into all this. So how do you feel about the progress that has been made to this point and where this team is?
They're very inconsistent. I think that's the big problem. The progress, I think, has been okay. I mean, at least one thing you could say about them is they're connected. And they got some fight in them. You saw that a couple of days ago, literally. But other than that, I mean, there's still a way to go. Cameron Ward, even himself, he said that he still has, some things to work out to be ready as well. So it's going to kind of follow where he takes them. And he's not ready, and he's been inconsistent. So there you have it.
Yeah, that's what's interesting, TD, is like there's a way, like with Cam Ward, obviously, there's a ways to go. This is the primary story of this team is his development, and it's his first camp as a rookie, so that's going to be a long process. I think with some parts of this team, it's maybe more than there's a ways to go. It's just like this is what they are, right? Like there's some parts of this team just aren't good, and so they're gonna look bad by comparison to other teams. I guess is there a part of this team that right now you think might be better or more competitive in the NFL this year than you did when camp began?
That's a good question, Rex Rotner, Joe. Let me think. I have to think. I would say inside linebacker because Cody Barton is better than I thought he was, and James Williams has really stepped up. I'm still confused about the release of Otis Reese, but I mean, those two themselves, I think, will make that inside linebacker. Because if you remember going into camp, that was a big question. Okay, who's going to be next to the veteran? And both of these guys are day 3 picks from a year ago. How will somebody step up? And I think James Williams has kind of shored that up. If you go back and watch that Bucs game, I mean, he was coming downhill and setting the tone pretty well. So they still got the ball run on them ridiculously, but I mean, obviously that's guys behind them as well. So
TD, we've had the L'Jarius Sneed discussion 1,000 times. There's no need to have it again right now. But without him in the fold, the starting secondary right now, let's go specifically the starting cornerbacks. How are we feeling about that, assuming that Sneed, until I see him back on the field playing games, isn't a part of it? How are we feeling about that at this point in camp?
Yeah, you know what's crazy, Robbie? Going into camp, and it's just a reverse of the linebackers, right? You say, hey, this team is strong in the secondary at cornerback especially, but I feel like Darrell Baker Jr. has regressed a little bit.
Yeah.
He had a couple good plays on Wednesday. And I remember there was one he got a PBU against Drake London. But he, to me, has regressed. And I think that's really the question mark right there. And obviously, he's the one replacing Sneed. McCrary continues to be solid. Jarvis Brownlee Jr., you know what you're getting with him. He likes to put hands on people. And sometimes that draws penalties. But then after that, it's like, okay, what are you doing? Gabe Judy-Lally is solid. He'll probably, work in at the nickel behind McCrary. But, I mean, I don't have the confidence in Jalen Kimber. I think you look at Amani Omoyorie, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, 31 from Dallas. He's not good. So there's a lot of questions there. I would imagine as they churn the roster, being as though they have that number one waiver wire privilege, they'll have another corner in there. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, seems like they really need it. So again, I feel like it's a weekly thing, but just the lack of really talk, because look, let's face it, a lot of the talk with this group of people is usually about bad things. A lot of there just isn't a lot about the offensive line. So just from that perspective, TD, what you saw against an Atlanta team with some legit talent, rushing the passer, where do you think this group is? And if Cushenberry is really going to be able to be back, what does that mean?
I think the offensive line may be the strongest part of this team, honestly, and it better be, right? Because you got multiple first-round picks, you got a couple big contracts there, and you got an established veteran. So to me, yeah, O-line is the strongest. I think they'll be fine. Watching them enjoy. We couldn't really go over their setup was a little different, so you couldn't really go over there. And I think Koharski was talking about it yesterday. You could see it, but you can't really get in there and watch the technique and everything. You like to watch the handwork, the footwork, all that stuff. You couldn't really watch it, but I will say this: Daniel Moore Jr. on Wednesday, he was, from what I saw, the limited part that I saw, he was legit Wednesday. And I mean, again, he better be. You're talking about what, $76 million or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think the O-line is strong. They're going to be. They'll be solid when Cushenberry comes back out there. But I mean, you gotta shout out Corey Levin, right? Because while Cushenberry wasn't out there, Levin he held it down, and you look at Andrew Rupchich, because Kevin Zeitler didn't play last week, but we all know that those two series, there was a good time. And I don't care that it's against the Bucs second team, because they had 2 out of 5 second teamers on their unit too. So I think that's something you have to build on. That's one of the few areas where I can say, this team won. You know what I mean? So O-line is solid.
DD, did you at the park way away and ride a shuttle, or are the Falcons eliminated from the Pete Rozelle Award before the season starts?
All right, Robby, you ready for a funny story?
I am.
So as Koharski said yesterday, right? We parked, and then there was a charter bus waiting for us, right? And so I parked. I got on the bus, and it was somewhat full. And so then some more people got on, and then I looked over and I saw Koharski parked, and he's walking towards there, and the bus driver closed the door and took off. And I'm like, hey, and all I see was him pumping his fist at the bus, and it was so funny, man. But you know PK, so he ended up. There was another bus behind us waiting, and he got that bus to take him and 2 other people, and he ended up beating me there. I thought I was crazy, because I get in the media room and he's sitting there. I'm like, yo, didn't I just see you punching the air at the bus? And he said he got the other bus to take him. I thought that had me cracking up, man.
Now we know why he's so mad. It's good stuff.
That makes my day.
Oh, it's just absolutely beautiful. So TD, on the Spears front, obviously you hate to see anybody get hurt. I hate to see it even more in the preseason, to see somebody get hurt. You're talking about a high ankle sprain. So it's not just when he'll be back. It's when is he going to be back at full strength, right? So what do you think this means for him personally? And in the meantime, let's say it gets a week or two into the season and he's either not back or he's not back up to full capacity. How do the Titans handle that at running back in your mind?
Man, I hate to see Spears go down. A high ankle sprain. Fortunately, I never had one, but for what I understand, A, it's very painful, and B, it could take you right back to where you were when you first heard it at any given moment. And those are 2 things that you hate to see him experience. But I mean, look, with him out, Julius Chestnut, he's going to have to step up if he wants to make this roster. I don't know how extensive the sprain is to where obviously he's going to be out the preseason, but how much into the season will it cost Spears? And I think that's something that they have to work out, because all right, are you going to be able to? Because I thought they were going to keep 3 running backs, and obviously Spears was one of them. So now do you keep 4, not knowing when you'll have Spears? And then will that affect another position where you may keep 7 receivers or 4 tight ends? So it's going to factor in. But I think you look at Chestnut, I think you look at Jordan Mims, and of course Khalil Mullins. To to me, when you look at those guys, Mullen is more of a situational, like third and short, that short yardage back. Chestnut, I think, can bring a little bit of a receiving element. I've seen him catch some screens and, really get going on that. But I think when you lose Spears, you lose like that chess piece to complement Pollard in the passing game as well as the running game. So they're going to have to figure some things out. That could be another waiver wire type situation where they bring somebody in.
Yeah, that was going to be my question because it just doesn't seem like they have anybody that really matches his skill set at all.
No. I mean, Spears, like, there's a reason why he was a third-round pick despite the injury situation. I mean, he's a good player. Like, you look at that, his last game, that bowl game, like, he was getting busy. And it's unfortunate because even watching him at camp this year, like, you could tell the guys who hit the field and like, whatever's going on outside of the field, like in their personal life, they're able to instant escape. And he was really legit one of those guys. If you watch my interview with him a couple of weeks ago, he touched on that a little bit, just how, he had to overcome some things, personal things, and he did it. And now, his outlet is taken from him because of the injury.
TD, last thing for you, as we get into the preseason game tonight, we know that the starters hopefully going to play a couple of series. We'll see how that goes. Anything from a roster battle, last couple guys on the roster, numbers game that you're interested to see continue to develop tonight in the game for the Titans?
Back end of the receiver position is always something, and I hope Xavier Restrepo gets more than 11 snaps.
Yeah, that was disappointing last week.
Yeah. I hope he does, but I would probably say that. I think, the outside linebacker position is interesting too. 56, his name just completely left my mind. Evans is his last name. Watch him because he's a guy that, like, earlier in camp he was getting busy, but he kind of faded away. I want to see what he's able to do because like, you're talking about like 6'6", 240 or something like that.
Yeah.
He and Ali Gay, or excuse me, 250. He and Ali Gay, those are impressive, like, athletes as far as like aesthetically, looking at them. So I would say those two. I want to see how, and Jalen Harrell too. I don't think he's going to play though because he missed both practices.
TD, awesome stuff, man. Hope you've enjoyed your time in Georgia. We'll talk to you next week, and we're one week closer to the regular season, and it's been fun in camp so far. Appreciate your coverage through it all, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Hey, Rexo, I thought about you earlier this week when I was writing this J.C. Latham and Jeffrey Simmons story. They were talking about the diet, and Simmons told me that, he gets a 6-ounce steak now instead of the buttery Wagyu that he always liked to get. So I thought about you because I know you got to stay away from that. And,
I can't have any of it, man. They both sound amazing to me. I know you. Well, we went to a steakhouse. You watched me eat fish.
Yeah.
Just beautiful. TD, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Man. All right, fellas. Take it easy.
Yep. Turron Davenport, presented by Bart Durham Injury Law. We'll react to what TD had to say coming up next. Take your thoughts on the Titans and the Falcons coming up tonight in preseason game number 2. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Got some tickets to give away to the Nashville Dance Fest at the legendary Nashville Palace, September 5th through the 7th. Be caller number 3, 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. Caller 3 will win a pair of tickets to the Nashville Dance Fest at Nashville Palace coming up September the 5th through the 7th. Appreciate TD for being with us in the last segment. Joe, I can't get the image of Kuharski missing the bus and throwing his hands up in the air out of my head and getting over to the facility finally. You guys have lost the Roselle Award, the Pete Roselle Award. It's done.
Shaking his fist. I love that. Shaking his fist at the bus. God, that's amazing. It actually sucks that he somehow got there before TD. But I also, I don't know if did TD say he was also riding in a bus with fans, or was that a media bus that he was on and Kuharski rode a fan bus?
I don't know. He just said the bus was full, so I'm gonna guess it was a fan bus. That's my guess.
Yeah. Because Kuharski told us that he rode a fan bus. I just can imagine him on there, the people on there they're doing the MC Hammer song from the Falcons, from which you guys wouldn't even know, from 1991. Too legit to quit. I'm just imagining Dirty Bird and stuff like that, all in Kuharski's face. It just sounds amazing.
It does. It was interesting to hear TD talk about, he called the offensive line maybe the strength of the team right now, which if you've watched Titans football over the last few years, you're like, oh God, thank you. Give me something about the offensive line that's positive to talk about. Says the inside linebacker group probably in a better spot than maybe he thought coming into camp. And then conversely, Joe, not as much depth at corner as maybe we thought heading into all this based on the way those guys have played. So in some ways, good news there for the offense if the offensive line continues to perform to the level in which it appears they have so far. But I think some real concern at corner, particularly if Snead can't go.
Yeah. And good point by TD on the waiver. And it's another good thing about being trash in this league is you get first crack on the waiver wire. And I have no doubt that they'll probably address that and maybe running back too, third down back, at some point. But so they picked up. So he mentioned Otis Reese, which I haven't heard really much about him at all.
Yeah.
First of all, I fully expect Vrabel to find a way to pick him up. One. And then also, Asamoah from if I said his name right, from the Vikings, has been a decent player.
Yeah.
So you wonder if how he fits in with the group there. But I think also at linebacker, I think that's I agree. Corner, clearly they're deficient without Snead, and at this point, everything's without Snead until further notice. Definitely linebacker is probably maybe the most pleasant surprise, again, preseason asterisk necessary, of course. But I thought TD, the statement he made that the offensive line is the strength of this team. That's a big statement. Now it's we think a bad team. So it doesn't mean it's a good offensive line in the NFL, but still, is it a decent, middling offensive line in the NFL? That alone potentially makes this so much more of a watchable team.
Well, again, as he pointed out, and we've talked about this, but at some point you hope this pays off. You have invested a first-round pick, a high first-round pick in J.C. Latham, a first-round pick, a relatively high first-round pick in Peter Skoronski, a lot of money to Lloyd Cushenberry, a lot of money to Dan Moore. And then you've brought in a veteran in Zeitler. Now, we're not going to see Zeitler tonight, but you've invested a lot in the offensive line. And, this is not a new thing. They've been investing a lot in the offensive line for a while now, and a lot of those moves have not worked. But you're hoping maybe this year is the year where you're starting to see some of that investment pay off for you to where it becomes a strength of the team. Because, I would agree. At this point, I would take being middle of the pack, being a middling offensive line, just because it's so much of an improvement of what we've seen the last couple of years. Having said that, their investment level at that position group tells you that they should be a great offensive line. Eventually, you ought to get to the point where you're talking about a first round pick, another first-round pick. At the time, I think a market setter deal for centerman or centers at the NFL level. The Predators need a centerman, not the Titans. Left tackle, where it wasn't a market-setting deal that Dan Moore got, but it's $20 million a year. Like, you're talking about a high level of commitment that in the next couple of years here, you'd like to see pay off into being a very, very good top part of the league offensive line.
Right. Now, I still think that for them to get to that, there's probably another answer at left tackle.
I would agree.
That's going to, but I'm sticking with, I think at one point during this offseason, I said Dan Moore is as important as anyone not named Cam Ward. And if he's really going to solidify that spot this year, then a lot of things fall into place. Because I can definitely see Latham. It's just hard for me to imagine Latham, especially in the shape he's in, not being quite a bit better. Skoronski, it's not about, like, there's always going to be the should they have taken him where they did, and the answer is probably going to be no. It's hard to imagine that the answer would ever change to yes. Right. But can he be good? Can he be a good player? I think that's possible. So I'm with you. If Moore is going to be solid on the left side, it's just going to look a lot different. They've just been so bad. So and it's like so long of being so bad. It's almost like the opposite of like taking something good for granted. You just take for granted how bad they've been, and you don't really, you don't appreciate how bad it is and how bad it's been. But if they look solid this year, it changes a lot of things. Not saying all of a sudden they're going 10-7, not at all. But you give your quarterback a chance for one thing.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll look ahead to tonight's preseason matchup against Atlanta. What are a few things that we'll be watching for, looking for? We'll take your thoughts on that as well on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. This week's Nashville's Best Deal is Fat Bottom Brewing Company. Join Fat Bottom this Saturday, tomorrow, for their Lucky 13 anniversary party at 844th Avenue North in Nashville. A full day of casino-themed fun, live tattoos from Black 13, face painting, balloon art games, and, of course, ice-cold beer. Get a $100 gift card half off while supplies last at theGameNashville.com/deals. Plus, don't miss their Lucky 13 anniversary party tomorrow at Fat Bottom Brewing Company. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
is the expectation to still play guys, everybody on Friday?
Yeah, everybody's going to play. Probably similar to last week. You know, it's my same guys probably out. Simmons and Zeiler will probably sit, but other than that, most guys should be good to go. I may revisit that after today and see where we're at and all that. But yeah, plan on those guys playing pretty similar to last week.
That's Brian Callahan earlier this week. Last we heard, plan is for the starters to play in the preseason game tonight. So we'll see what that looks like, how long they play, and how well they execute. I mean, Joe, it would be, I guess, kind of nice. I mean, selfishly, I want to see Cam Ward play as much as we possibly can tonight. But it would be kind of nice if you're the Titans, I guess, for them to put together such a good first drive and go down the field and score where you're like, all right, well, is that all we need to see from Cam Ward out there tonight? Selfishly, I hope it's not. But
yeah,
it would be nice for them to have that perspective.
Yeah. I think if they have a reasonable, certainly a TD, a touchdown, not our TD.
Yeah.
A reasonable amount of success on a drive, on one of two drives, I think that'll be it. Again, if it's like 3 and out, I think he'd get another series. And look, the way things go with the Titans, we might see Cam Ward playing late in the second quarter because the other team's holding the ball for 8 minutes a pop. So who knows?
Cam Ward hadn't gotten the ball yet, and it's halftime. It's crazy. It's a 30-minute drive.
Yeah. Yeah, 14-1 in possession time in the first quarter in favor of the Bucs. So, but it's like I think to me it's probably like the idea 10 to 12 plays, some success, get some things going there as they did last game. Really, I think mostly promising second drive. It's like, what are the things that you want to see? What are the things you worry about? Obviously, you want to see some more throws like he made against the Bucs. You don't want to see like the missed read, picks or near picks. Like he had one against the Bucs on that very good drive. You also want to see if he's going to throw it away, to actually throw it like out of bounds. Now, to me, that's one of those things that that's an easy fix. I don't look at that as some issue. It's just like, just throw it out of bounds, right? Like this is not something like a coverage or, oh man, I missed the linebacker again. That's something where it's like, man, like you really have to work on your pre-snap and then immediate post-snap recognition. And throwing it out of bounds, that's just like, hey, throw it out of bounds next time. I feel like that can be taken care of pretty quickly.
I mean, I agree with you. He did throw one away, not out of bounds in the game last week, and then apparently threw an interception, not throwing one out of bounds this week in practice. So it's like, all right, time to do it. Put it in like the 15th row back there.
I guess I can never recall that as like an
habitual not throwing the ball out of bounds quarterback. This guy cannot throw the ball away out of bounds. He can't do it.
It's like playing the game 500. Remember that?
Line stepper.
Oh yeah.
Just throw it as high as you can up in the air, and then people try, playing a game 500. It's like, dude, please, there's the out of bounds line. Just throw it to the right of it or to the left of it.
Go hit the people in line for the $2 hot dogs up there. Throw it their way.
Exactly. If you've got to hurt a spectator, then do it.
I mean, Cam Ward is going to be where my interest, frankly, begins and ends in this tonight. We'll see how it goes. No Tim Boyle to watch tonight. So does Trevor Siemian come in there and have anything better than a 0.6 quarterback rating? My guess would be that probably happens tonight, and that he will have a better rating than Tim Boyle did last week. If not, Joe, we're going to be in for more talking about a third-string quarterback than maybe anyone in history on this program on Monday morning.
Yeah, well, if not, then take heart. There's one preseason game left. And by the way, if it's that bad, there'll be somebody else in for T Sizzle, T Swift, T Wiggle, whatever the heck his name is. But apparently he's looked okay. Came right out of the practice field and was like, hey, hitting some throws.
He's been here before.
This is not his first rodeo.
He knows how it goes.
Years old.
Yeah, he knows how it goes. You don't get the nicknames T-Money Sizzle, T-Money Wiggle, or T-Dot for no reason.
That's right. Pro Football Reference.
In all seriousness, it would be like, yes, Cam Ward is where my interest largely begins and ends. It would be nice to see Brandon Allen step in there and play reasonably well, right? Like to have some confidence that your backup quarterback can operate the offense and occasionally make a throw. Like nobody's expecting Brandon Allen to go out there and look like, Baker Mayfield or anything, but like occasionally be able to step up and make a play. That'd be nice.
Yeah, and I don't think he's terrible. I really don't. I think he's lower half of the league QB2, but I would feel reasonably confident in saying before the preseason's over, because we are going to see him play a lot, he'll look okay. Not great, not necessarily good, but like not Boyle level. Again, I thought Allen was okay for a lot of and then he did the whatever the heck happened there near the goal line on 4th down. But I think I agree. I think that's one of the things you kind of want to look for is him to at least look like he has a pulse. I think he'll be all right. Again, QB2, this team gets to QB2. This team is fighting hard for the number 1 pick. So embrace that. And I'm with you on Restrepo. I mean, I've changed. I'm going to be wrong on him making the team, clearly.
Maybe play like 18 snaps tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I still think he can make plays, and I think he's a guy worth having on your practice squad and having around to try to develop. So it'd be good to see a little bit more from him. I know Mason Kinsey's a guy who has dominated in Atlanta before, so watch out for him too.
How closely will you be watching Femi Oladejo tonight, who we had, or at least we attempted to have a long discussion about yesterday that eventually came about?
Yeah, no, I think, no, I think he's a clear guy to watch tonight to see if there's any sort of progress. He's going to be a really important player for this team. Huge investment with a 2nd-round pick. Understanding it's a project, but I think he's a big test for this front office too. I mean, he's going to be compared to other people that the Titans could have taken at that and other positions. It's going to be a road. It's going to be a process, but yeah, this is where if you are that kind of player and you're a prospect, then the preseason games you should see, okay, you see a little bit more, then you see a little bit more the next one. And then during the season, he's going to play. And at this point, it's a little bit alarming how ineffective he's been.
I'll be watching him very closely tonight on the defensive side of the ball. If the starters or any, majority of the starters, because we know that Simmons isn't going to play, we know Zeitler's not going to play. If the majority of the starters are playing on the defensive side of the ball, can you get off the field? That would be also nice. Like, it's not the be-all, end-all in the preseason, but especially if, if they're throwing out Easton Stick as the starting quarterback tonight in Atlanta and you can't get off the field as your starting unit against Easton Stick, we're going to have some problems at that point.
Yeah, you would think that maybe you could get a stop or two as Penix and Cousins sit on the sideline. I mean, I'm assuming how much understanding the Titans got carved up by Drake London. What is he getting snaps? Is John Robinson getting snaps? If you don't have your quarterback out there, I don't think I'm playing those guys.
No.
So actually, as someone asked on the text line earlier, why are the Titans favored? Probably because we're expecting. Yeah, exactly. We're expecting their offensive difference makers at least to not play. So, and the Titans need to play their first group. I'd play them more than they're going to play, but they're going to play them some.
That's
going to
probably
why.
For us today on the program, Kuharski is in the building. He's with Jake Lyman. Coming up next, you're listening to 102.5 The Game.